Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaches Corner. I'm Jerry Miller, voice of the Bengals. And with us today, ISU defensive line coach Byron Hout. We're going to find out all about you, Coach. I know you don't have any skeletons in your closet, so we won't go there. But first of all, tell us, where were you born and where were you raised?
Well, born in California, the Bay Area. Was kind of raised all over the West Coast here a little bit. Spent 4 years in Texas, Galveston, Texas. Lived in Arvada, Colorado after that for about another 8 years, 8 years. Then I spent some time up in North. That's when I moved to Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, and so spent middle school and high school years up in Coeur d'Alene, and been kind of an Idaho guy ever since.
Tell us about your family, your parents, siblings.
Yeah. Got a mom and dad. Blessed still be alive, and great parents. And my mom lives in Modesto. My dad lives in Houston. I'm the youngest of 3 older brothers, so I got the butt whoopings as a kid, all the hand-me-downs, but it made me tough. It was cool. Love my older brothers. The oldest is about 35, lives in Rifle, Colorado. He's got 2 kids, married, works in kind of cybersecurity. So if you know what he does, you're probably top secret clearance there. My other brother lives in Virginia. He's got 4 kids, married, and works as a marketer. And then my closest in age brother is a year older than me, and he actually just moved to Post Falls last year. So he used to be in Bonnie Lake over in Seattle, and he moved to Post Falls, a little closer to home. He's got 2 kids and married. So I'm the guy without any kids or married in the family.
So you're the bachelor in the group.
I'm the black sheep.
Well, I'll call you a bachelor. We'll see if a black sheep pans out or not. But you played football at Boise State. Tell us about how you ended up there and what your career was like.
Well, I played high school at Lake City High School for Van Troxel. Was recruited by Coach Harsin and Coach Choate to go to Boise. Kind of was a no-brainer for me. They had a winning program. We at the time at Lake City, we're winning a lot of games, and so I wanted to continue that tradition, and was offered there my going into my senior year, and committed basically, pretty soon after that. I was offered, and spent story, usually linebackers go to D-line. But I was I made that journey initially to D-line, and then made my way back as a linebacker, and finished up as a linebacker my last 2 years. So.
All right. After you got out of college, how did you transition into coaching?
It was something I always wanted to do. So in college, I'd always go back home and volunteer at camps, high school camps, or whatever I could do. And as soon as I got done playing, had the opportunity to be a graduate assistant at Washington State. And so jumped on that opportunity. As soon as I graduated, I basically moved up back home to Coeur d'Alene and spent time over the summer and that fall as a graduate assistant at Wazoo. And then from there, it was back as a graduate assistant at Boise, just trying to find that spot, out of it, from being a graduate assistant's tough, and was offered a job in 2016 or 2015-16 by Coach Choate at Montana State. And that kind of started off my full-time coaching career.
Is that when Jeff took over the program for the Bobcats?
Yep.
So you were with him from the get-go in Bozeman.
That's correct. Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
What was your experience like there? You coached the D line there?
I did. Yeah. Spent my whole time coaching the D line there. Was really fortunate to learn some techniques from Coach Choate in the beginning. And I had a great time. The staff remained relatively intact. So there's a lot of guys that kind of carried over throughout those 5 years. So made some really good connections, really good friends, and got to coach some amazing players, and yeah, really enjoyed my time up there.
You were there when really, and I mean, Montana State has had a quality program for a number of years, but Coach Choate was really instrumental in kind of that shift that saw the Bobcats take over and start to push the Grizzlies around and win that battle between those two on a fairly regular basis. How much fun was that?
It was fun. I mean, anytime beating your rival is a good thing. And, it was a lot of heavy lifting in the beginning, getting the kids to do things our way, and listening to the kids about how we could make it better, and doing it, listening to their advice as well. And so a lot of heavy lifting until you get to that level of everybody's committed, everyone's bought in. Those freshmen have been in the culture now for 3-4 years. And so they start to lead the program a little bit. And, I think there's a quote out there. It's like good teams are when the coaches lead, great teams are when the players lead and the coach, and so I think, it was really fun being a part of that, getting to that level.
So tell us how you ended up at Idaho State playing and being hired by a guy that coached that other Montana school for a lot of years.
Yeah, I mean, I was, the connection goes back to high school. Like I said, with Coach Troxel, his son, Matt Troxel was coach here at Idaho State for many years, knows Coach Fennessy. And so that was one connection that kind of got my name in the door, as well as Coach Cooper. It had never really met him other than said hello to him on a game day. But he was really good friends with Kane Ione, Coach Choate, and some of the other guys and that had been around the Big Sky. And so when I was let go at Montana State and looking for options, those guys, were instrumental in helping get my name in the door. And yeah, couldn't have been luckier to end up here.
Well, we're glad you're here. Tell us about the situation you've come into now during, I guess we would call it the COVID period. I know over the weekend when I did my pregame interview with Coach Fenn, we talked about the fact, even though some of the guys are actually sophomores and juniors in academic schooling, they're still listed as freshmen on a roster, 54 names as freshmen on a roster. How young is the group of guys that you're working with?
I mean, that word young is probably the wrong. I wouldn't say. It's just inexperience. Like you said, they're not young guys. I mean, a handful of them are returned missionaries, and so they're 23 or 22. And so, I would just say David Rao, Spencer Tatsafu, Mike Smith. A lot of these guys, like I said, just need to be on the field, need the game reps, need to see the speed of the game. And so that's, it's a good thing if to have that many young guys getting reps, because it just builds your program for down the road, to where you get, 54 seniors. Holy cow, wouldn't that be that would be some kind of record, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's downright scary when you think about a graduating class.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll have to manufacture some of that to even it out.
What's the toughest part about what you do coaching kids who play the D line?
Um, I'd say it's probably the initial technique of getting them the footwork, the eyes, the keys. Some of these guys, when you recruit defensive linemen, they're the best player on their teams, and that's true for every position. But you can get away with quick swimming or jumping a gap in high school, and when you're playing at this level, it's the game's a little bit faster, and that can hurt you at times because everyone's expecting you to do one thing. Really, every a guy on the field, all 11 of them are expecting you to do your job, and so getting guys to buy into that, like, oh, hey, if I don't make the play, that's okay. I'm not required to make the play every down like I was in high school. And so getting them to buy into the footwork part of things, the eyes and the technique, that usually takes about a year or two. And then, just building good habits throughout the way. It's a fun position to coach because you get to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And so some people might think it's monotonous, but I really enjoy it. I try to make it fun for the guys, so it's, even though we might be doing the same thing, there's different emphasis on the drill.
Can you share some of the ways you try to make it fun and keep the guys interested and excited about what they're doing?
I just make it competitive at times. There, you can run around a circle or a hoop, but you can also put another hoop down and have them race against each other. And so you're getting the same work, you're getting the same technique, you're just making it competitive. We can engage our hips and strike a bag or throw a sandbag, and let's make it competitive. Let's see who's going to compete in this drill. And so that's my version of fun, is competing.
Byron, this is obviously a tough season for the Bengals, and we've expected obviously more than what we've seen in terms of wins. Injuries have been such a crucial part all the way across the roster this year, and it's not an excuse. It's just something that you have to deal with. I know fans watching the game, like the Weber State game, they've got 5 guys on that O-line. Every one of them is 300 pounds all the way up to 340. And you've got 3 guys in a down position trying to go against 5. And fans go, well, that's not fair. But talk a little bit about the philosophy of that 3 down front.
We could be here hours talking that. Layman's terms, it's hard for the offense to get 2 double teams going on an odd front. Okay. Generally you're only drawing 1 double team. It's harder for them to know who our 4th rusher is going to be, where it's coming from. And when we do get the double teams, we embrace that. We want to take 2 up front. If we go 1-for-1 with the guy, we want to make a play. And so that's kind of our philosophy, is take 2. If you go 1-for-1, make the play. Sometimes we're going to sacrifice our bodies, and the linebackers might come out on top, running through a hole because we're holding up 2 guys. That's embracing defensive line play. And it's not for everybody, but I think we got the guys that are bought into it, and guys that can do it.
Looking a year or 2 down the road, how optimistic are you about this group of young men that you're working with?
Extremely optimistic. Not only do they just continue to get the lights coming on as far as the technique, like we talked about, usually takes about a year. The lights coming on with these guys, they're getting their toes in the ground, they're spiking their trail foot. So they're getting cleats in the ground, they're bringing their hands better. Now we need to get off blocks and win some of our one-on-ones is the next evolution of our step. And so I'm excited. More experience on the field, more time in the weight room, getting bigger, faster, stronger, will allow us to win our one-on-ones.
You know, the last two games in a row against nationally ranked teams at Montana State and again against Weber State this last weekend, the Bengals were in this, slugging it out toe to toe for three quarters, and then just crazy things happen. You get a kick return for a touchdown. You get a punt blocked in the end zone for a touchdown. Things that really don't have a lot to do with your guys playing on the D line. How are the guys holding up mentally?
Oh, they're resilient and they're strong. I think, we have a saying, it starts up front, and that can mean a lot of different things, but they can carry that into the locker room and say, hey, if it starts up front with us, we're going to stick together. We're going to be the guys keeping everyone together, staying positive, cheering on our teammates, doing things the right way, how they're coached to do it. And so I think my group's responded, and yeah.
I asked you what's tough about coaching the position that you do. What's the best thing you like about coaching?
Probably just interacting with the guys, to be honest with you. Getting to spend, minutes with them before we start a meeting or after a meeting, and it's a little bit looser, and I can just see these guys enjoying themselves. The second part of that is seeing the success from them, whether it's, hey coach, you gave me that tip and man, was it right? And man, it worked out. And just seeing the excitement on their face, or just seeing their success out on the field when they do something big and they're excited. That's a rewarding feeling. And sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's a guy coming up to you and saying, hey, I passed, I got an A in that class, man. And you're just so excited for them because they know that you care about them, and you're seeing the care come out of their emotions as well, that they care about it too. And so that's the rewarding part, is those little interactions you get to spend with your guys.
Well, Coach Hout, the Bengals are in a conference that this last week had 6 teams ranked in the top 25, which is amazing when you look at the conference. I mean, if you're FBS, okay, maybe the SEC at some point or other, but with the big guy to be that good across the board, it's impossible for any big sky team not to have a tough schedule. But now you and the guys have to go into LaBelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah, and play a team that put up 66 against the University of Virginia. But talk about what there is to look forward to in a game like this for these young men.
Oh, man, I mean, what an opportunity, right? You're going to go, like you said, play in front of a bunch of fans. That's exciting. The atmosphere is going to be electric. You get to go play against some of the best. If you want to say, that BYU is at the top level of the FBS, and they should be. And you get to go compete against the best. That's, what other opportunity do you want? I mean, so I hope the guys are excited. We're excited. I enjoy that challenge. I think that's goes back to, like I said, competing is fun. And if you're a true competitor, you can't wait for this one. And especially our guys, I mean, geographically, the same location. I'm sure a lot of these guys wanted to, saw BYU or had been to a BYU game before growing up. And now they're at this institution and get the chance to go play. Like I was saying, great opportunity for these guys to go and play in front of a packed stadium, some of the best talent out there. It's a great challenge. Some of these guys grew up around BYU, watching BYU football, so I'm sure they're excited for the opportunity to go play on that field.
Coach, we're going to wrap this interview up with one more question. If you had to characterize a defensive line that's coached by Byron Hout, how would you describe it?
Smart, physical, relentless. Probably use those 3 words. I mean, that's that's kind of what I embody or envision as a defense lineman, a guy that can play backfield cheats, play formational cheats. He can get knockoff up front, be physical, and then he's never going to quit. He's going to be relentless, whether that's in pass rush or in life.
All right. Well, that sounds good, Coach Byron. It's been great getting to know you. And we look forward to what you're going to do with this unit in the future for the Bengals as well. Good luck this Saturday at BYU.
Thanks, Jerry. And apologies again about the technical difficulties. We'll get this squared away next time. But awesome talking to you. And thanks for your time.
Hey, it's a pleasure. We've been talking with ISU defensive line coach Byron Hout on another edition of ISU's Coaches Corner. I'm Jerry Miller. Go Bengals.